Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. This week's Shorts series was about the soft chords, the borrowed chords from the parallel minor series. So things like the minor 5 chord can sound amazing in a major progression. Borrowed chords, especially borrowed chords from the parallel minor, can really make our progressions sound great. We'll use examples from today's series, maybe dig into them a little bit more, maybe talk about some other things as well. Let's dive in. Well, listen, first, if this is the second or third video of mine you've seen and you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. The comments, subscriptions, resharing videos, stuff like that really helps the channel. And I'm trying to build a community of musicians, composers, arrangers, producers who are interested in learning, conventional music theory, not in an academic way, but in a way that serves their own interests. I hope this is music theory for everyone. It's been great for me. I hope it'll be great for you. Okay, so just as a quick reminder, you guys remember that the triads of the major scale each have what we call quality. They're major or minor. And as I progress up through the scale, I get different qualities, especially here on the 7th step, the diminished triad. So I get a major triad on 1, minor on 2, minor on 3, major on 4, major on 5. There's another minor triad on 6, and then the diminished triad over there on 7. The primary triads in any key are, we call them the 1 chord, that's C in this case, the 4 chord, F, and the 5 chord, G. Well, those primary triads are not always major in different scales. In a minor scale, the 1 chord is minor. I guess that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? And the 4 chord is minor. The 5 chord may be minor, depending on the minor scale we choose, or it may be major or dominant. And in fact, classical composers like to use a dominant 5 chord even in minor scales because it gives you a stronger resolution, a stronger authentic cadence. Well, what that means for us is that we have access to 1, 4, and 5 chords that may be, if borrowed from the parallel minor scale, a different quality than we expect. Well, the truth is, pop musicians have taken advantage of this fact for an awfully long time. Now, I'll show you what I mean. For instance, in the song Louie Louie, which I'll just transpose to C, we get a 1 chord, and then a 4 chord, and then a 5 chord, which is minor. The 5 chord is, in this case, G minor. And we get an interesting sound, don't we? We get this note here, B flat. If you look at the piano, you can see I'm kind of like adding thirds on the top. This is a classic rock sound, and we get this note here, and it implies a new scale. It implies, I'm going to play them all at once, and we'll see if my computer can analyze it. C mixolydian, very good. The B flat is missing because it's tucked up above, but the C mixolydian scale is a rock scale, the flat 7 scale. Let's look at my 6 short examples from the week. My first short was in the key of G major, and the first chord is D minor. D minor, C, and G. And this is what I call the soft 5 sound. So listen to this beautiful D minor chord to C to G. It's a beautiful sound. Well, I've taken advantage of that sound in this example. There's the D minor to G. And now just putting a little melody over it. This is essentially the mixolydian scale that we looked at earlier. There's the F, the flat 7 in the scale of G. ended this melodically on an A, the 9th of G. I think there's something great about borrowing chords because it suggests an atmospheric quality, sometimes a feeling of melancholy, the minor chords where you expect a major chord. And that opens up possibilities for us melodically because it opens up new scales for us. Let's look at my next example, the next piece that I dropped this past week. And here, this group of notes, well, it starts with a kind of an interesting, complicated sound, which is essentially D with an E added to it. And are we going to be in the key of D for this? I guess we will. So there's our D chord. And then the next thing that happens is another soft 5, A minor 7. And then, not to be outdone, the 4 chord G also becomes the minor 4 chord. So we have a beautiful example here of borrowing a minor 5 and a minor 4 in the system here. And for this, I just made a little polyrhythmic pattern, and we'll talk about the pattern in a second because I've gotten a couple of questions about it. So no melody here, it's just the color of those chords. And listen, let me just talk about that pattern because for those of you who are pianists, this is a great trick to do. It's a combination of things. It's a polyrhythm. It's really simple polyrhythm, 3 against 2. The 3 is in the left hand, the 2 is in the right. And the first expression of the D chord in the left hand is 4 notes. And it's a repeated 4 notes. And it happens 1, 2, 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. That's 12 notes in a row, 12 beats. Now, what I'm doing essentially is dividing those in groups of 3 in my head. And after I do that, I go 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. A 2 against 3 polyrhythm in the right hand. That's the D and the A. Now, these are very simple chords, but I get an interesting effect. In fact, the interference of periodicity between the grouping of 4 and the division of 3 is the thing that makes this delightful. Practice that for yourself. Try playing 4 notes in a simple repeated pattern, but thinking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Very interesting. And then put a 2 against that. Let's go on. This is a simple Dorian concept. That is to say, I've got a minor 1 chord, a major 4 chord, and a minor 5 chord. And this is it's the heart of the Dorian sound. The Dorian mode is built on the 2nd degree of the major scale, and we're, in a way, borrowing a major 4 chord, and this is what we get. And again, we get a great scale, the Dorian mode. Slightly spooky and beautiful, right? I'm not being strict with my chords in the left hand. I'm allowing notes to move as you heard. And again, funny melodies sit on the 9th. Feel free, go ahead. I'm using the Dorian mode just at large, but I'm also thinking of that 4 chord as a borrowed chord, borrowed from the major. Let's continue. Here I've played a little trick on myself. And how would I describe this? Well, the first 3 chords are B flat major, and then E flat minor 6 back to B flat. So I'm borrowed the minor 6 chord from the parallel minor. And then just because these 3 chords here are a chromatic mediant modulation to G, and then its minor 6 chord on the 4, right? So there's C minor 6 back to G. That 4 minor 6 sound in 2 different key levels. The first key level, B flat, the minor 6 sound, 4 minor 6 on E flat, and then the same thing on G. Now, that's just interesting by itself, but I've given myself a melody that is in 10/8. I'm grouping simple arpeggio patterns here in the left hand in groups of 4 and 6, 4 and 6, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the 1 chord and then the 4 minor 6 chord. You'll hear. Beautifully spooky, especially when we go to this chromatic mediant modulation. This is kind of cinematic. So I'm thinking in 10 here, but it could easily be 5 too. It could be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, slow. That change from the B flat to the G major, so beautiful. Listen, let's go on. We don't want to take forever on this, but all these examples sort of tend to anchor the idea, don't they? Here's another instance where I used 2 different borrowed minors. C major, G minor, and then I guess we can think of this in a number of ways. I mean, it's a D minor. It's sort of like an F chord in a way. You can see the F and the A there, but the Ds. And then this here, which is F, A flat, and D. If I had a C in there, you definitely hear the 4 minor 6 chord. This sounds just a terrific sound, kind of jazz progression almost. And then makes for a great little progression for melody. Gives you a great scale, the A flat in there, the B flat in there, but we're always going to resolve back to C. Okay, here's another kind of like pattern-based piece. And this one is super simple because the very first moment we have that there in the left hand, and then it's a little hard to read, but if you add what the right hand will be doing at the same time, it begins to make sense. So these 3 notes in the left hand added to those 2 notes in the right, it's obviously F major. And then the next thing that happens, you can think of it as a C minor 6 or maybe F7. In any case, it totally works. And then from there, we open it out to go to a full-on, beautiful sounding. This is G minor 7 flat 5, but really I'm thinking of it as a B flat minor 6. So you could think of it as 1 major, maybe 5 minor, and then 4 minor. So I'm really borrowing here. And this is a great sound. So just to illustrate, that's the left hand. It's going to do groups of 3, and then the right hand interlocks with it, and we get this pattern. I'm just drumming between the 2 hands. So we hear the progression and we hear that rhythmic figure. I love these kinds of textures. No melody, really, right? listen, borrow chords from the parallel minor. There are other solutions. We looked at the Dorian mode, for instance, and you can think of it in a number of ways. But I think for our purposes, the best definition I think that I've come up with for myself in my work is borrowed chords are chords taken from the parallel minor, or, if you're writing in a minor mode, the parallel major. This gets used in rock and contemporary songwriting all the time. It appears in classical music as well. It's a way of accessing extra notes, adding to the scale, and creating new melodic opportunities for us. It's a powerful tool, and it really is there. It's just like a one click away on the dial, which is kind of the thing that I love the most about it. You're in a major mode, you click one click over, and like you get a minor 5 chord. Suddenly this beautiful, soft mixolydian sound. I love it. Listen, I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe, ding the bell. You'll be notified when I do my videos, and I'll see you next time.